David was an ordinary college student with an extraordinary gift, a sixth sense so potent that he could sense the past events of any place he entered. This uncanny ability made him both a curiosity and an enigma among his peers. Living in the dormitory of a university, David often found himself overwhelmed by the residual energies of countless past inhabitants. Sometimes, the sensations were benign, laughter from long-forgotten parties, the lingering warmth of a first kiss, but other times they were dark and unsettling. One particular evening, as David sat in his dorm room, a chill ran down his spine. The room was filled with an oppressive silence, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible had happened there. He closed his eyes and allowed his sixth sense to guide him. Images flashed in his mind: a previous tenant, a young woman, weeping in despair, her face pale and eyes hollow. He saw shadows swirling around her, consuming her spirit. David snapped out of his trance, breathing heavily. He tried to shake off the feeling, but it clung to him like a dark cloud. He decided to leave the room and seek solace in the common area, where the presence of other students might drown out the haunting echoes of the past. The common area was bustling with activity. Groups of students were chatting, studying, and playing games. David found a quiet corner and tried to focus on his homework, but his mind kept drifting back to the disturbing vision. He glanced around, his eyes landing on a Buddhist tapestry hanging on the wall, depicting a serene image of Buddha. It reminded him of his grandmother, who had always told him that chanting Namo Buddha could protect him from harm. As the night wore on, David grew more anxious. The unsettling sensation from his room seemed to follow him, whispering dark thoughts into his mind. He knew he needed to confront whatever was haunting him, but the prospect filled him with dread. Around midnight, David decided to return to his room. He couldn't avoid it forever, and he needed to rest. As he stepped inside, the temperature seemed to drop, and the air felt thick with malevolence. He locked the door behind him, hoping it would provide some sense of security. David climbed into bed and pulled the covers tightly around him. He closed his eyes and tried to calm his racing heart, but sleep did not come easily. Hours passed, and he lay there, wide awake, his senses on high alert. Suddenly, he felt a weight pressing down on his chest. His eyes flew open, and he saw a shadowy figure looming over him. The figure had the face of an asura, a demon from Buddhist mythology, with sharp horns and glowing red eyes. It grinned wickedly as it wrapped its hands around David's neck, squeezing with inhuman strength. David's vision blurred, and he struggled to breathe. Panic surged through him, but his grandmother's words echoed in his mind. With what little breath he had left, he began to chant, Namo Buddha, Namo Buddha. The demon's grip tightened, and darkness began to close in around him. Tears streamed down David's face as he continued to chant, his voice growing weaker. Namo Buddha, Namo Buddha. Just as he felt his consciousness slipping away, a brilliant light filled the room. The demon recoiled, snarling in pain. David's chanting grew stronger, fueled by a desperate hope. The light intensified, and the demon's form began to dissolve, its screams echoing through the room. With one final agonized howl, the demon vanished, leaving behind only a faint trace of sulfur in the air. The oppressive weight lifted from David's chest, and he gasped for breath, tears of relief mingling with his sobs. David lay there for a long time, his body trembling and his mind reeling from the ordeal. The room was filled with a peaceful silence, and he felt a warmth spreading through him, as if he were being embraced by an unseen force. He continued to chant softly, Namo Buddha, Namo Buddha, until he drifted into an exhausted sleep. The next morning, David awoke to find sunlight streaming through the window, dispelling the last remnants of the night's terror. He felt a profound sense of gratitude and a newfound strength within him. He knew that his gift, while sometimes a burden, also provided him with the means to protect himself and others.